Hey guys, have you ever wondered what happened if we find the date of our death? No, but the movie we are going to explain is completely based on this. Let's see what happens when a bunch of people try to evade their death. Will they survive till last? Let's find out in this movie. So be with me till the end of this movie explanation to know what happened to those people who tried to evade their death. So movie starts in a random house where a group of people are enjoying the party. Whereas Kate, a pretty young girl, tells Ali about a fitness app to track her diet. However, instead of that app, Ali got some weird app which tells the date of your death. They all took that app for granted and decides to play a game. However, the rules are very simple that whoever gets less life had to finish all of the drinks. Meanwhile, all of the group members got 60 to 30 years of life except Courtney, because the app shows that she only have 3 hours to live. And eventually all of his friends tells her that she had to abide the rules of the game and finish all of the drinks. However, Courtney's boyfriend makes it easier for Courtney by drinking instead of her. Later that night, Evan tries to drop Courtney home, but he was too drunk to drive. So Courtney decides to walk home by herself. He tries to convince Courtney to sit in the car, but he failed and unfortunately drives off with anger. Meanwhile, she gets a message from the app saying that she has broken the user agreement. However, Courtney ignores this and keeps walking way towards her home. In the meantime, she realizes that someone is following her. She kept on moving, but eventually she got another message that she have less than 2 minutes to live. She gets scared and runs towards her house while the app continues to blare on her. After being terrified by the app, she switched off her phone and walks towards her bathroom. She becomes extremely paranoid while realizing that something is really messy in the bathroom. She turns around only to find that someone grabs her from above and drops her onto the shower, letting her to die while timer runs down to 0. Meanwhile, we see Evan faced off with an accident, letting the branches of the tree to destroy the seat where Courtney was supposed to sit. In the next scene, we see a girl named Quinn who works in the hospital. She walks in a room nearby, discovering that one of the patients hasn't finished his lunch. She tries to find out that guy and discovers that he was sitting beside a window thinking of something. And it turned out that the guy is none other than Evan itself. However, Evan also tells Quinn about the app and all of the incidents that happened with him. He also tells her that he have less than 20 hours left to live. And Quinn completely ignores this and tells Evan to not believe in this type of fake apps. She also convinces Evan to come back in his room. On the way towards his room, Quinn meets Amy, who tells her to follow him. And eventually the hospital staff surprises her with a cake because she passed the nurse test. Meanwhile, while eating the cake, Quinn tells everyone about the app he heard from Evan. However, they all downloaded the app just for fun, and it turned out that Scott gets more than 15 years to live, and so does Dr. Sylvian. While they are discussing this, a man walks in carrying a young woman who is affected by drugs. They all give the necessary medication which is required to save that young lady. Later, when Quinn was leaving his work, she gets a link to download the app, and when she downloads the app, she was very upset because she came to know that she have approx 3 days to live. And in the next scene, Quinn goes back to his apartment and finishes the documentation for further nurse criteria. He didn't have the necessary documentation, so she goes to his dad's house for the required documents, and eventually we came to know that she barely visits his dad's house. In the meantime, Quinn's dad invited Quinn to visit her mom's grave. The very next day, Evan is preparing for his surgery and he has 3 minutes to live. And while thinking of this, he decides to avoid his surgery. He tries to run away from the hospital, and suddenly he receives a notification from the app that he has broken the agreement. And then afterwards, he started facing horrific events. And at last, he dies in the hands of a ghost who has a face of Courtney. In the next scene, Quinn visits hospital and found that Evan is already dead. She started feeling suspicious and tries to find Evan's phone to know the reason behind his death. Although when she finds Evan's phone, she needed a biometric to unlock the phone, and for this, she visits morgue. Eventually, she was successful to open his phone, only to find out that the countdown has already stopped at 0. She was very curious only to know that what actually happened to Evan, and for this, she dropped her plan with his dad for visiting her mom's graveyard, and eventually after doing this, she receives a notification that she has broken the user agreement. She ignores this and started heading towards his home. And eventually the doctor stops him and tries to take the advantage of that girl. Quinn pushes the doctor and goes to Amy to tell her everything. But before she tells Amy about the doctor, Sylvian calls her in behalf of any medical emergency. Later that night, Quinn tries to search a way to delete the app, but instead finds information about Courtney. She also finds a link, and when she goes through the link, she finds a video of a girl stating that she is seeing things which are already dead. However, the comment under the video says it is fake. So she relaxes a little bit and shuts her laptop, and in between this, she spots a ghost of Evan. However, getting terrified by the app, she breaks her phone and runs toward her car and spends rest of the night in her car. Next day in the morning, Jordan wakes up Quinn and finds she broke her phone. She also tells Quinn that she wants to live with Quinn as her father went on an office trip at last moment. But unfortunately, Quinn refuses, seeking the safety of her sister. In the next scene, Quinn buys a new phone in order to get rid of the app. But unfortunately, Quinn discovers that the app is too mysterious and she cannot get rid of the app too easily. However, we can also see that she met with a guy named Matt who had the same situation, and they try to figure out if they can read the agreement once again so they can find the clue to evade this. They manipulate an old man sitting near to them, and when they saw the agreement, it was written that they have to accept their fate. However, the old man accepts the agreement after many warnings. Talking about the agreement, we came to know that they all have to die according to their fate. Like Courtney was supposed to die in a car, Evan was supposed to die in his operations, Quinn was supposed to die in her mother's grave, and Matt was supposed to die in the train. They all have to die according to their fate, but they all broke the agreement, causing to unleash demon among them. The same day, Matt and Quinn visits priest in the hospital and asked him about the demon. However, the priest doesn't have enough knowledge about this, so he sent them to another priest. Meanwhile, when they are leaving from the hospital, Amy informs Quinn about the higher authorities and said that they want to meet Quinn. Meanwhile, Matt goes to the restroom and sees his dead brother's demonic entity who attacks him, but somehow Matt manages to get rid of it. On the other side, Quinn came to know that the doctor put the allegation to Quinn that she tries to corner him in his office, and as a result, Quinn was suspended from the hospital. Later that night, they visit a church and met Father John there. They tell the incident to Father John, and Father eventually tells them about a ancient folklore which is mentioned in the Bible. That is, the Bible says that there is a prince who gets a scroll from the old gypsy woman, foretelling the exact hour in which he would die. The woman warns the prince that he should not use the scroll to alter his fate. But the prince did exactly the same he was not supposed to do, and as a result, he unleashes the demon who tortured him till death. The father eventually predicted that the app must be a modern version of the scroll. Father tells them to find someone who can hack this app, and eventually Quinn knows one of the guy. They go to the store guy named Derek and asked him for help. As for the bribe, they give their credit cards to the guy. Meanwhile, Derek helps them by finding a loophole in the system. However, Quinn also came to know that her sister had downloaded the app, and they settled down everything by expanding the countdown of their app. Eventually, Quinn also takes the photos of some of the words to understand more about this. In the next scene, they thanks Derek for the help and Quinn asks Matt to stay with her that night. Eventually at Quinn's house, Matt tells the story about his dead brother, that he had stolen his brother's toys in his last moments. Quinn comforts Matt by saying that it's not his fault. The two of them falls asleep. As the light flickers, Quinn senses something outside the door. He wakes up Matt by calling by his name, and suddenly Matt confronts Quinn from the door. They immediately understood that the demon is sleeping beside Quinn's bed, and as the demon disappears, they came to know that the timer from the app is running back to his original time. And suddenly Jordan's countdown clicked in Quinn's mind, as her sister have less time than Quinn. Meanwhile, at Jordan's house, she faces some of the demonic events and rushes outside the house and finds Quinn in front of her door. They quickly goes to Father John and tells all of the incident. Meanwhile, Quinn also gives the photo to Father, whom she had taken before at Derek's store. John quickly understood that it is a curse. He tells them that if they could live 1 second more than the dead time mentioned in the app, then the curse could be broken. And for this, he creates the plan to hide all of them in a blessed circle. Till then, when the demon tricked Matt in the face of his little brother and drags him outside the circle. And when Quinn tries to save him, he got into an accident causing his death. In between this, Jordan gets hurt and Quinn takes her to the hospital. As the doctor was taking care of Quinn, one of the colleagues tells Quinn about Dr. Salvian, that if she will go after him, she will be with her. Meanwhile, Quinn goes to her sister and her sister tells that her mother's death was not her fault. Quinn comforts her while saying that it was no one's fault. In the next scene, Quinn goes after Dr. Salvian because she had a plan to lift the curse. She tells Dr. Salvian to meet in the basement as she wants to kill the doctor. However, she was unsuccessful because the demon saves the doctor every time, and hence Salvian escaped from there. When the demon goes after Jordan, Quinn decides to kill herself, and eventually the demon also tries to trick Quinn, taking the face of her mother like he did with Matt. However, Quinn understands this and kills herself, letting the demon to destroy. And eventually she was successful to lift the curse. Meanwhile, Jordan cries to her sister's dead body when she saw a name of a medication written on her hand. She injects the medicine in her sister's body, causing Quinn to bring back to the life. So basically, Quinn tricks the demon with her temporary death. Next day, we see Quinn to her mother's graveyard, giving tribute to her mother, and suddenly she receives a notification from the app that the Countdown 2.0 had been updated. And here the movie ends. So this was the whole story of the movie Countdown. I hope you liked this video, and if you liked the video, share with your friends and do subscribe the channel, and please do not forget to hit the bell icon to keep updated to my latest video. So see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye and take care.